like anything about me, do you?
No, there's plenty of things I love. But you just need to calm down on the Snapchatting, man. I don't know if I'd say that.
You just did, though.
I said there's things about you that I like.
Let's find it.
Maybe there are certain characteristics that I love about you. But overall?
Overall, I'm just a shitty person.
You guys are the most awkward couple ever.
It was a 99. It was a 19.
Oh, you're saying it's 19 now?
Oh,
That's not what a quit is.
Yeah. You're like the plane that never quite gets off the ground. Yeah.
Most planes either get off the ground or they don't get off the ground.
Oh, really? What else would they do?
Well, he made it sound like there's like some hybrid.
You're kind of like in the middle. You're kind of like, you go up and then you just like back down the ground. And then you're like, and then you're like, you're back down the ground. And let's try another take on it. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
awesome.
I like this one.
Really?
It's a Cessna 152 with 3 people. That's what that causes.
One of the people's names.
Hey, okay, no, I know, and I said, I need you to find
Hey! Hey!
Hi.
Okay. So, starting today, there will be a mandatory fee when you walk in the door. I'm joking. Okay.
Darn it.
It's you have to. It's when you leave. That's when you enter.
Yes. When you walk out. Nope.
No hope for survival.
Actually, both. When you walk in and you walk out.
That's I mean, I can leave. You can't.
Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of stuff to talk about today, but so yeah, so won't take up the whole night. We are going to get posters done this quarter because it's celebrating the next quarter, and I won't have really time to do that. Although we're just going to get the housing posters instead of the other ones because it's kind of terrible having to all over campus putting out posters, especially when you get there and the place where you're supposed to put it up is already full of other posters and you don't want to take anything down, but you don't want to cover anything up, so it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of awkward sometimes. So, yeah.
Oh wait, posters to put around the school?
Yes.
Oh. Movie posters.
Now that would be cool.
You almost should, but next year.
Okay. Milo, do you want to talk about Films Against Humanity?
Yeah, do you want me to come down there?
Yes.
Yes.
Be sure to come around right here because our live stream people are kind of.
Hi guys. I'm here to talk about Films Against Humanity. Now, hopefully all of you have played the card game, Cards Against Humanity. Well, we're going to make it a little bit more horrible, and we're going to take, the whole idea of the series is to take ideas from Cards Against Humanity and put them on film. So it's going to be a completely random selection. Once we get this series going, it'll be 7 white cards or whatever. We still need to figure out the format. But the viewers will pick what ideas we do, and then we'll make them. They'll be about page scripts, 1 to 2 minutes, and we're just going to be using the Cards Against Humanity deck.
It will be terrible.
And it will be so horrible.
It's so big.
Yes, and yeah.
Are you planning to do firing a shotgun while balls deep in a screaming pig?
We'll get as close as we can to that. But are we gonna have?
We just might fire a gun and bacon or something. I don't know, probably.
All right.
With
So
bacon
yes,
covering your
ma'am.
crotch.
Yes.
yes. So we're gonna be meeting after this. So if you're interested in helping in any aspect of the project, stay afterwards, and we'll be talking about how we're gonna format it and stuff.
Can I talk to you later since I have plans after this?
Yes. Not for you.
Just for me, some pressure.
Just kidding. We will talk to you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my bit. Films Against Humanity. We're getting this one step closer to home.
So the idea behind that is
One step closer.
to just put out something every week, just to build more subscribers. Yeah.
Question, is there going to be a copyright issue with that though?
We ran through that.
The game is open source.
Yeah.
It's
It should be Creative Commons, which should be okay with it.
It's created by other people. People submit good content. So.
Okay.
It's free publicity for them anyway, so I don't think they'll care. I mean, we could look into it, but.
Also, it would be our own original script. It would just be like inspired by it.
And we wouldn't be able to put everything on film. Like, I'm pretty sure, even though I want to, I'm pretty sure we can't put 2 midgets shooting into a bucket on film. Even though I really want to.
Why not?
Is that an option? Can we put that on film?
We can put anything on film. It's YouTube.
Oh, okay, so YouTube would
Just have to
probably,
market mature content.
I mean, as long as it's not like straight up porn.
Well, there are some cards that are straight.
So then we're just gonna bleep them out.
we'll just like,
Anyway.
upload it, whatever, if it's one, we'll just upload it right to. Yeah.
No, we should put them on.
Okay,
All right.
so next order of business. Right now we have the intro, MPC intro thing, and I'm thinking we probably ought to have like a end thing at the end of all of our videos that says like our video, subscribe, whatever, because
Oh,
that seems to be the thing that people do these days.
like that college humor. Something.
Or like any.
No, like where they
Like a
ask
slide.
beg for likes and subscribes.
So
Oh.
just like something like a like button is.
To get people to like and subscribe us. And so we should come up with something to do for that. Really, we could do anything.
But yeah, I think that's so whoever's editing.
Look who showed up. Hello,
Josh Bassetti, everything. Yeah. I didn't
And
know
his
that
like
was over.
rollerblades.
Okay. Yeah. So anybody who's editing something right now can just keep that in mind and we'll come up with something. Okay. So
Oh, Aaron, I actually need the intro on YouTube if I can change it.
It's up on the group page.
Thank you.
yeah, what's the status on that?
I'm still waiting on audio files that are missing.
Oh.
I will
I'm-
get to that. I'm
I'm
busy.
working
Damn
working
it.
on the scenes that I have audio for. So
But you
it's-
have the whole thing edited together besides audio, or?
I have it in order. I'm not done completely
Okay,
cutting
okay.
it.
What other projects are still up in the air?
Fruit tree is
Obviously.
getting worked on. It's
Obvious.
getting stored. It's special effects are being done now. I will be doing a call out for all of the actors to return to ADR. Other than that, it's going to be good.
Persuading you guys going along.
And how's Ratchet?
Gotcha. I still need a crew.
No, the first one.
No, first one.
First one? Ask him.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is it pretty Ratchet?
It's
Theoretically
Ratchet.
speaking.
I have it
What the hell
all
is
like
that
in
mean?
order, like all the clips and stuff. I just need to click ADR.
The actual
So edit.
Okay, you're Ratchet Find Night 2.
I need a crew.
Yep.
Pretty much it. You
Uh,
did either Facebook message or Facebook page platform.
Okay. So is the second one going to come out before the first one?
That is the challenge.
You're like Terminator 2. Stop doing that to my computer.
Okay. I will show that later. Let's see. So we don't know when the 72-hour film slam is going to be, but we're thinking it might be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is the first weekend of May. Assuming it goes over those days, which is a Thursday, or not a Thursday, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It will probably end on Monday. We have all Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do it. It is confirmed we are going to be splitting up into different groups for the 72-hour. So as that gets closer, we will discuss that and figure out what group is being what group.
So here's how we're going to do it. we're gonna have everybody pick like their number one role that they want to do as far as production role, acting, whatever, and maybe a number two role and maybe a number three role. And then we're gonna divide everybody up. No, and then we're just gonna. How did we decide?
It was, we
We
wanted to
could
make
just
sure.
we could just get a bunch of captains or the directors come down.
No, that's not
line
what
up,
we're
and
doing.
then,
So,
We just wanna make sure that,
the weekend.
we just wanna make sure that each team has enough cinematographers and actors and editors to make it equal so that not all of the, like, actors are on one team and DP's on another team.
and we all end up working together anyway.
Battle Royale.
So we just need to know who's doing what so we can equally
Yeah.
split it in some way.
So that's roughly how that's gonna go. But again, that's a ways away, so we don't need to
We're not gonna worry about it now.
And if that weekend happens to not be the 72-hour, then we can just throw in another 36-hour, like the Boy Who Sings Fire, and that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. Then I guess Race's project will be maybe the weekend after that. I don't know.
He's not here.
But he's not here, so we can't.
You know, Race, you should be here. If you're watching.
Okay, Josh, you want to talk about casting for Dark Tower 2?
Yes. So the script is like 98% done. Thank you, Johnny, for all the hard work. So we're gonna have our final meeting after this meeting. We're gonna do a full read through, just to make sure that everything's where we want it to be. I'm hoping probably late next week is when we'll hold auditions. Just check the Facebook page and I'll let you guys know for what character and stuff like that. And so what we're gonna do is basically do it like 10 to 10:30 is like auditions for this character, and then 10:30 to 11 is this character. So you're not sitting there forever, if you just want to audition for a specific character. So, and then we'll also send out like character descriptions of like what the characters are and everything like that. So just watch the Facebook page. So. Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
I just want to say, anyone who you've ever known who's ever said they want to be in a sci-fi movie, tell them about it, because we're going to need a decent number of people just to do aliens and then other people in the camp that they're in. So just get the word out if you want to be an extra, just hanging out or being an alien.
And we'll need dead people too. So if you
It's
want
gonna
to
be
dead
very
body,
extra heavy. So if you want to just kind of be in it somehow, come to the auditions.
Do you want people for the read-through? So we don't wrap up all of them.
We could. Yeah, I'll
Well,
let
it's
I'll
actually
let
good
them do it.
Okay.
so we're gonna try to cast the musical on either next Thursday or Friday. Probably leaning towards Friday. Is that pretty good for most of you?
Depends on the time.
Yeah, obviously. We'll put up a Facebook thing, but it'll be Friday. We will be next Friday. We will be doing the casting, and just let us know you guys' times and all that. Who wants to participate?
Yep. Do you want to talk about the script writing club?
Right. So a new club just started up, and we had met yesterday for the first time. Maria Sanders and another person came together and created the screenwriting club. And basically, what the screenwriting club is it's just a club for a bunch of all screenwriters to go in and workshop and be able to pitch ideas and maybe even pitch scripts that are work in progress and get some feedback on it without having the script kind of be out in the wild. So those of you guys who are screenwriters or have a story you guys are trying to make, that you can head there and have a fun time with other screenwriters that enjoy what they do. The other thing too is that if you are a director who has a story idea but is not very good with the writing side of things, you can pay them a visit and pitch the story to them, and they can either write it or not. They meet right now. They are meeting Wednesdays at 5 in Black 203, and I'll put it up on the group page if people are interested in that. Yeah.
Elections for this club are on May 22nd.
So
Just
yeah.
putting that out there.
Be right there.
Yeah. And let's delve right into the acting
Are
workshop.
we not doing her directing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you have yours?
Yeah, it's in my packet. We'll just need to put on some fancy like French horn music in the background. 'Cause I still did that music too.
I have fancy French music. It's actually French.
Alright, so
Do you wear that cable?
This one? Yeah. Okay.
alright guys, so me and Emily we're talking at the e-board meeting about how we usually do workshops based on like tech, and we thought that it would be kind of fun to do something kind of different and kind of go more towards the casting and acting portion. So if people are interested in like being on screen, kind of giving a few tips about that and things of that nature, so it's not just so tech heavy. So you wanna say maybe some things about your experiences here?
I've dabbled in both film and theater while here, so it's there is a transition necessary if you're used to theater. You do have to make some adjustments to get used to film. Same thing, vice versa, but we're not going to do that because we're not going to film you on stage.
Hopefully.
So hopefully fingers
Unless
crossed.
somebody writes like a stage script, which would be really awkward.
So yeah,
So yeah, we're just kind of trying to make the point that like it is quite different acting on stage as it is acting on camera. So like you definitely wouldn't want to bring in the same kind of method.
projection.
Yeah, the same kind of almost overacting aspect as you would on stages that you would want to do on screen, because there's a change.
Yeah.
And like you definitely want to put yourself in a very different mood because you're not trying to project all the way to the back row, I guess. I mean, your camera's right there, your mic's
It's
right
about the
there.
close up.
Yeah. So, how many of you guys are actually interested in acting?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot more than I originally thought, but that's good. That way we're not preaching to like two people. Are there any like things that you guys want to like share, and maybe some like experiences that you've had in acting that like kind of like made an influence on you to like want to go that route rather than like going like I guess a tech route or something?
/ are there Milo says Does anyone have any general questions?
I acted like I was in theater for the Rising Sun, which is why I was louder than
Yeah, it definitely is quite different. And it's kind of like a weird thing because I think there's quite a bit of difference between being a character on screen and playing a character. So like you can easily tell that when some people are like trying to play a different character as opposed to like you just believing that they're that character. So how about like any experiences that like you guys have had where it's like, you know, this is what I want to do? Like are any of you guys hoping to like that be your career choice? Just you guys? Milo?
And Ginger.
Well, like casting too. I love
Casting.
that.
What do you like about casting, Ginger?
Well, I like the thing about casting that's really cool is like seeing like rising suns, like who all wanted to be a part of it, but just then seeing the different people and how they bring their characters, and also winding them up and seeing how they play off each other, the dynamics.
Absolutely.
That was really fun, and that's kind of more of like what I like to do per se. I mean, acting is fun because it's fun to be someone you're not, or to, you know, be someone beyond who you really are. But I don't know, it's kind of casting is my favorite.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unfortunately, part of what I also tried to thought of something you said that reminded me of it. But unfortunately, part of casting, and it's the believability. That's what it was no matter how truthful. Okay, I shouldn't say that, but 90% of the time, even if you give a really truthful performance, part of acting is unfortunately casting. It does exist. Like you wouldn't have me play like, you know, someone's little sister. I don't have that. I'm the kid that would like beat you up. Like I don't have a friendly face. I have a hard edged face. So you do have to sort of realize that when you're looking, when Josh posts roles, that you are likely to go out for a good understanding of you as you come off to other people is a really important part of casting in general, and will influence how you get cast if you can pull off a certain type of character just based on how you come off in your natural air.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So, as you guys casted, both of you, what do you guys specifically look for, other than the general mood that a person gets off or gives off? What do you look for as casters and actors for your piece? Like, what specific things do they do? You know, a little tad bit, like one trick secrets that kind of get an actor really in the mind of the caster.
I know for me, just because I've seen this happen everywhere, is that one person that does something different is, even if it's not maybe what I was looking for in that moment, the fact that they took a risk and they did something completely different, they didn't stick to the generic confines of, like, if you see a question on the screen, you know, someone might end it with an upwards intonation, but if you yell it at me or something, it's something different, something that you took a chance on something, you didn't just look at the page and be like, it should be read like this. You know, you made a choice about it, like that speaks everything, the fact that you're willing to do something different and not just read a page.
I think one of the biggest things is, and kind of adding to that, is just the general confidence of how you portray a role. Like, are you gonna be confident enough to make those decisions and just go through with it and not be afraid of the outcome? Just go with it. I know, like, I've probably watched almost every inside the actor studio that there is, and most of the people say that in their acting, like, what ended up on screen was like the 18th try of something that they just like they winged it. Like, they just went for something and it just turned out great. So I think it's the ability to be confident enough to just let yourself be embodied by that character and just let whatever's going to happen, whatever you feel, is to just go with it. Don't worry about what the words are on the page or how they're written. Like she said, don't worry if it's question mark or not. Do it as if you're embodying that character and like how you think they would portray that specific line. And I think one of the biggest telltale things that you can like find is while you're doing, I guess, your audition, if you can get the director to look at you more than the script, that's a huge advantage to
First
like,
10 seconds.
yeah, it's kind of like if you can get them to really not even worry about the fact that you're auditioning, but wanting to watch you be this character. It's a big telltale sign that you're going on the right path. So.
Lauren has something to either say or ask.
I think it's not stressed enough in acting how important it is for you to analyze the script and the subtext and finding out why your characters are doing what they're doing. You have to remember that film is very more intimate in theater, and these people, so it's more about what you're reading on their face versus what they're actually saying. So they could be meaning something completely different, and you have to really put yourself in their shoes and think of them like a real person and try to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling.
And going off of that, a playwright or a screenwriter is not going to put something in the script that doesn't need to be there. Screen time is money. You have to get it down to a certain length to put it in a theater so many times a day.
Yeah.
So they're not going to put something in the movie that doesn't belong there, which means every single second that you are being recorded, there needs to be a life, there needs to be something there, something needs to be going on inside. Ginger!
For people who are going for roles, when you're going into that audition, what percentage of effort do you need to put in that audition?
I would say, personally, I would say you need to play that role as if that you were
You've got
selected
cast already.
So
You need to, almost go into it as if you're confident enough that I've already gotten this role. Because that's what people want to see, because how are as casters going to see how you're going to do on screen if you're only giving us 50% in the audition?
right.
So it's like you want to go as if, camera's rolling, you got one shot to do this. I mean, because it is your one shot. When you go down to LA or New York, even here in Central, you don't walk into an audition like, oh, I messed that up, can I go back out and come in again? You got one shot. So, I mean, give it everything.
Also, Michael Smith in the theater department has the best, I don't want to call it a quote, but it's more of a philosophy, which is, as a starting actor, your job is not to act, your job is to audition. Is literally, like, that is what you do. You go out every day and you audition. And it's like, if you had any other job, you would give it 100% every day because that's what your living depends on. So until you have a start, until you start to get the ball rolling on your career, your job is to go out there and get the job, which means you have to put every ounce of effort that you
So
can.
basically, you have to be there 100%.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially because it is literally the first 10 seconds in the audition room. They've already decided maybe not whether or not to cast you, but whether or not they're going to pay attention to you. Is the way you walk into the room, the way you introduce yourself, the way hello, my name is Emily Egan, and you add your personality to it, because otherwise you're like the 80 millionth person who's come up like this, and is professional and pretty, and so you have to bring you have to show, yes, Lauren.
Like you're saying earlier about knowing what you can and can't play, that takes a huge thing, especially when you're auditioning for roles, to not just go for any part. That it's like, oh, there's an audition on the thing, but it's for someone that I know that I can play, because you're just screwing yourself over, basically. It's very important, because even though you don't want to talk about it or admit it, typecasting is a huge thing in acting and theater. You have to know your type and accept it and be able to really own it.
And if you, even if you like rock the character, and even if you're just doing it for audition experience, don't show up to an audition for a character that you don't, for a professional, because it looks like you don't know what you're doing. It looks like you're like, I can play anything on the planet, and just walk in, and the director's gonna be like, oh, they're cocky and full of shit, and they don't know what they're doing. So really know what parts you have the best chance at and go for those. You'll also save yourself a lot of disappointment. If you like go out for 80 million auditions and get 2 of them, you're gonna be like, wow, that's a 0% success rate, and you're gonna feel really defeated. But if you narrow the field to the ones that you actually have a chance at, the odds get better, and it's a lot more motivating.
I also think that like choosing your roles wisely, it works a lot in your favor, because a lot of like famous actors, they bring something of their own personality into every role they play. So if there's something in a role, as it's described, that you said, oh, I've been through a similar experience, or I have that tendency, if you can connect to that, that's something you don't even have to try to make someone believe, because that's already you. So I think it's a quote I posted, I think it was like a month ago, by Jeff Bridges, and you know, it was basically saying the more or the less that you can take away from a character to have to fake, the easier your audition is going to be. The more you can just put yourself into that character and it fits perfectly, the easier it's going to be, because you're not trying to fake as many parts of your personality, if that makes sense. So
and speaking on the acting sense in general, not as much the auditioning, is it is true what they say, the camera does not lie. The camera will see the truth of the moment. Some people are really good actors to where they can make it look like the truth, but for the most part, if you're not at least partially really feeling what's going on, if it's not there, the camera's gonna see right through it. And that's why, even though some people are really good stage actors, sometimes the transition to film is not so pretty. Learn again.
Also along those lines, while it's really, really important to connect with your character and find things that can relate to them, you also really have to know how to check it out before you do. Because if you're playing an evil character and all of a sudden you feel like you're becoming them because you connect with one thing that they do, then all of a sudden you think you're a bad person, and you have to remember that that's not you and all, that you have similar things, you have similar things with everybody, and you have to know, one, to leave your problem at the door when you enter, and two, to leave
Your
the
character
character's
there.
problem at the door when you leave.
yeah, I don't think any of us need really a prime example of when an actor plays a character and it completely embodies them to the point where they, well, that's basically what happens. Is like, I mean, somebody embodies a character so dark and so vile to the point where it consumes them, and it becomes something where they can't detach their personality from the characters. And I think that is a big thing that you need to think about, is once you're offset, you need to, be back to who you are, and leave that character, on set, and leave it there, because it's not something you want to be taking off set. So, does anybody have any like questions or anything like that?
The one thing I'd like to input on this is getting to know your character is obviously a good thing, but as someone who has actually sat in that chair and watched actors come in and try to act a role, a specific role, you can bring any kind of, like the typecasting thing, you can bring what you will to it, but if you just don't fit what the caster is looking for, it's just not going to be, he might, okay, so, yes?
It was a quote that went around the theater department for a while, is if they're looking for someone like 2 feet taller than you, you can act your face off, but you're not gonna grow 2 feet. So even if it's a job or it's a role that you could technically be typed for, if it's not the director's vision, then you can't really beat yourself up that you weren't 2 feet taller. So.
And it is reality in the business, it really is. If you don't look the part, oftentimes you won't get the part. I mean, there are instances where somebody can convince the director, but usually when the script is written, it's written having a certain person in mind. and that's why we
That's
have
how they
character
get funding.
descriptions.
Because they're like, I want this person to play this, so fund my thing. So
I mean, even in the scripts that you guys have written, it's, character A, brown hair, this tall, blue eyes, this and that. I mean, those aren't in there just, to make it easier for you guys to imagine it. That's what that screenwriter's thinking about when writing that character. So, Ginger.
One last question.
Yeah.
Basically, is it better, like when someone's auditioning, is it better to, if they're overacting, to dial them down or vice versa?
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, it's the biggest thing in casting if you feel like you're not getting enough out of the person you're doing too much is to redirect them. And also to test them. If they're doing something and you think, wow, well, I kind of wanted a different thing, instead of saying, I kind of want a different thing and they can't do it, ask them to do it, because they may be able to. That's really, really important, is to redirect the auditioners if you think they may have the potential to do what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think basically telling them, give me more, give me more, give me more. I mean, you guys have the right to say, what do you mean? Give me more is not specific enough. I mean, because then at that point you're just overacting. You're throwing your energy kind of at nothing. It's just smoke.
It is okay to ask questions most of the time, like 98% of the time. It's preferred because that shows that you're not just aiming in the dark. You're like, do you want more of this? Do you want more of that? Okay, let's try this again. And so it's more direct. Eric, were you on saying what you were trying to say?
Well, I have one more thing to add, and that is just the acting in general. Know your lines. Yeah. No. There's more to this. That if you know your lines, it's more. You can really get into your character because you're not going to be thinking about what's my next line. You're going to be thinking about how am I going to deliver this line, and it's going to make your performance much better.
Absolutely.
In an acting class that I took, I was required to learn about three pages worth of dialogue, and because I memorized it, I was able to spend more time on what is my character going to look like when I'm going to be performing. It's always a good idea. In fact, you have to know your lines before you come in and act in front of the camera.
Okay.
On that note, sometimes you go into an audition and they just give you a script like a cold read for you to just do a line. How do you snap into a picture? How do you look at lines and deliver at the same time? Is it more difficult to do a cold read?
Usually they won't do it so sudden. Usually if you do get a script at the last minute, you'll have at least 5 minutes. Most of the time it's closer to half an hour or an hour. Where it's basically, oh hey, we want to see you do more. Here's a side. Go. We'll call you back to it, and you'll have a little bit of time. And there are, if we want to set up a time, we can just get a sample. I have a bunch of sample sides from I took in auditioning specifically for film and television class in the theater department. So it's we can go over some of the sides that I got from that class and just look at key points. There are page numbers. If you know the structure of, if you're auditioning for a sitcom or if you're auditioning for an hour-long drama, there are certain formats that you know the structure of the show, so you can know where in the story is this, so what height of, what's the height of the action, what part of the story are we at. There's just little clues that you can find in the script, and we can set up a time where we can just go over it and find those where you really only need the half hour. As long as you have a good memory, you're good to go.
And it's in addition to what you're saying though, very seldom will a director or caster give you a script with nothing other than the script. I mean, even if it's last minute, they'll at least say, this is what's going on in this part of the story. You're
Small
this
character description.
It's something. Very seldom they're going to be like, read this for us. But how do you want me to read it? Just read it.
You will get, most of the time for your initial audition, you will get it no later than a day's notice, most likely. They'll be like, oh, they're holding audition. Your agent will call you and be like, oh, they're holding auditions for this. Do you want me to get you in? Yes, please, get me an audition. And then you'll literally get assigned the day before. So you're already on short notice. They're not gonna hand you something and then be like, do it now.
What has helped me a lot with cold reads, especially what I learned when I was younger, was that when you first get a script, instead of immediately trying to memorize the lines and stuff like that, it's much more important to read the story and try to figure out what's going on for yourself and then make your own assumptions. So for my callback for Polaroid stories, They gave us sides, and they told us we had half an hour basically to prepare it. And a lot of people started working on blocking, started working on lines, and then I was talking to Travis. We read through it a couple times, and then we talked about our relationship. We talked about where we thought we came from before this. We talked about like what the abuse level was. We made our own decisions that made it so when we went in there, it didn't even matter if we knew the lines or not because we knew the team.
And in addition to that, like one thing that's really helped me out is when I was first starting out like in middle school in theater, what I would do when I was auditioning for a role was I would look at all of my lines, because back then, you know, your biggest word was, I need to remember my lines, I don't want to script my lines. But the biggest problem with that is you're not reading your other actors' lines, which is a huge message is being sent to you of how you want to deliver your lines. So if you're delivering your lines and then you have your other actor auditioning for the other role, giving you like certain kind of like messages and certain hints and things like that, and you're just not picking up on them because you're not familiar with their lines, it's not going to mesh well. And I think one of the biggest things I think for some of our film slams is not just seeing how an actor portrays a role, but how two connect with each other. So like how two roles can kind of benefit each other. So I think a lot of times like try to figure out what is the other actor trying to say as well as what you're trying to say.
Also, one thing to help with the being directed and also being able to be influenced by what your acting partner is doing is memorizing your lines by rote, which is with no inflection whatsoever. Like I do tongue twisters as an example, like listen everybody, like a wedding, what's a wedding, it's great, sort of visual, everybody promises fidelity forever. It's like very bland, and so when the director asks you to, can you kind of back off that line, you're not like memorized in a specific way that you literally can't remember the line unless you say it like that. Gives you a little bit more freedom and makes you more directable. Lauren had another thing to say.
I know at the end of a project I will know my partner's lines better than my lines because actually the best direction I ever got was don't make your scene about you. Make it about the other person, and that way they'll be doing the same thing and it'll equal out. Instead of worrying about what you're trying to do, worry about what they're doing and how that affects you and how it makes you feel.
Absolutely. Any other like last questions, you guys? Anything like that? All right. Well, thank you guys. Okay, now we have some fun stuff to show you. Nothing yet.
All right.
Here, let me get mine.
Let's see if this shows up on that. It probably won't.
Don't we get some French music?
All right. Okay, so
Green blank.
So at the e-board meeting, I revealed a project that I've been working on a little bit. Not a video project. Not a music project.
What?
But an endeavor into a different entertainment field. Video games.
Yes!
So what I have for you today is a very, very early demo for MPC the game.
Oh my god.
Nice.
This is the
Version
best.
0.0.1. So,
Is that you?
no, this is the green thumb. Okay, so the only graphics that are actually complete are the character animations and this here. None of this stuff is not actually going to look like that. So the game will consist of several different levels that will progress through various NPC projects. At this point, there aren't any physics. You can't jump, you can't do anything else. But when you crash into that, then you do some stuff, and if you hit spacebar, then you can fly around. That's just for developing something that I put in there, basically just like a cheat code. Anyway, so
this is where it's at right now, although hopefully level 1 will come along and then I can release a demo, put it up on the NPC group page or something.
I've reached level 8 on NPC the game.
What is that? You don't know? Oh my god,
It's like the best game ever.
I've been 30 donut battalions.
Anyway, so there's going to be basically one level for all of our projects. They'll be short. The gameplay will be
Oh, Ratchet
interesting.
Fight Night better be like Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
Yeah, and on that note, the levels won't all be side-scroller platformer games necessarily. So, like Ratchet Fight Night will maybe be a fighting game, you know.
And you have the special move Pimp's Hand. Just saying.
Pimp's Hand.
No,
Pimp's
something,
Hand.
something with the cane, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
We're already.
Yeah,
we should have Darkest Hour be a space invader thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have a couple of projects from the directing class done by NPC people.
Wait. Dang it, I want. Oh, it's braces that I slap it in the face.
So who wants to go first?
I can pull up some silent film music, so it's not. Because I didn't have time to add music to mine.
Mine's completely silent too.
So we can use the same music. It'll just be different.
Okay.
Hopefully the mood is similar.
Orange is the new black. I don't know what that is.
Oh, there's the 40 minutes of it.
With an ad.
Of course.
Alright, no, what's the ad actually? Let's see.
Just play it to the ad.
Yay! That's the glad moods.
If it's the freaking random red couch thing that has been on every single. There's like a McDonald's random red couch thing.
Nope, that decided
we
on
need.
that. Never mind.
We need even. Okay. Those will be fine.
I'm not sure I want that to be mine.
No, I don't. Oh, there you Sorry for the extra fluff. We had to try and extend it to 3 minutes, and I did not have 3 minutes of footage.
Oh, yeah.
So,
This is a terrible friend. No joke.
Racist dick.
This is what he did immediately after.
Wow, he is a dick.
It had to be 3 minutes long, so.
Poor Ray's dying.
Oh, story gas.
You're seriously telling a minute of Ray's gagging?
Yeah.
He's dying.
Must have hit him really hard.
How did I assist with the rest of it?
Did you bring yours already?
No, I didn't. I was gonna try to put in some audio.
What did you do for yours?
The guitar one.
Oh,
Were you there for that?
no, I heard you talking about it the other.
Super fun.
Oh my god.
Why do I do this? What compelled me to take on this underground world? In a moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing.
Yeah! Attaboy Bruce.
And that's it. So, yeah. Not bad. Yeah. That concludes this meeting.
Woo, MPC!
Yeah, so you can leave your payment at the doorway as you leave. That'll be 200 each.
Yeah, about
Pesos?
Don't worry, there's a little credit card thing.
Oh,
Takes
okay.
credit cards.
Alright, I was worried about that.
I mean, you can also just give us your bank account card. We'll take out as much as
Checking
you
account.
want.
I got the money.
But you forget we're all college students. We don't have any money.
That's why we're taking it from you.
So 200
Right, this is
pennies,
totally
right?
Pesos.
What? Totally talking, Dave.
That's what I said.
And good night.
200 pesos, that's like 4 cents.
Car sale, and there was like the prizes that you could get, they were in the mail.
Go get some food.
It's like, oh my god!